Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday. Whiskey Wednesday. Now, Whiskey Wednesday, I am dubbing as the most relaxed business coaching session in the world. Why? Because it is business coaching through storytelling. So the idea is you grab your drink of choice. Mine is whiskey. And if you're looking, this is like my favorite whiskey glass right now because it has all of these molecules on it. So if you've, like, for example, um, if the whiskey has a sweet aroma, then it's got isobutanol, and so that's the chemical for it. So it's got like all of these different chemical. It's nerd shit. It's my whole thing. But anyway, the idea is you grab your libation of choice. It can be wine, it can be tea, it can be water, it can be whatever. And the idea here is for you to relax. This is not one of those sessions where you need to hurry up and pull out all of your notes. The replays will be available on my YouTube. And if you are in our Discord, we actually give step-by-step notes for all of the Whiskey Wednesdays. So it's not really necessary that you take notes. It's not necessary that you're on, because I know that that's a thing with business owners is the feeling like we have to be on all the time. And the reality is human beings learn through storytelling. If you look throughout history, throughout all of human history, the best lessons have been taught through storytelling. And so my goal with Whiskey Wednesday is to tell stories about what I have experienced in business, about what our clients have experienced in business, and to tell those stories in the direction of a specific tip, tool, or strategy that will help you either build, grow, market, or scale your business. So that's the goal. That's what we're doing tonight. So a little bit of housekeeping. This is a space for you to receive. Whiskey Wednesdays are a space for you to receive, which means that it's not necessarily going to be as conversational as maybe some of the other sessions that I host, right? So the way that it'll work is I will tell the story. I'll go over what I'm teaching tonight, which is about testimonials and very specifically for service-based businesses, working with testimonials from some of your higher end clients. And what that really means for your business and how to do that in a way that does not kill the growth of your business. And then towards the end, I'll open it up for a few questions here and there. And then that'll be it. So we won't be here too long. So the title of the room is how asking for testimonials can actually kill your business. It can actually hurt your business. And I'll give you an example. And this is something that literally just happened last week. So we live in San Antonio, and San Antonio is a beautiful city. The terrain is amazing. You know, I'm originally from Houston, and so San Antonio is quite different. The challenge with living in San Antonio, as beautiful as it is that it's a military town, and it's a little bit old school. San Antonio is quite a bit behind when you think about all of the other metropolitan areas, even just in Texas. San Antonio is quite a bit behind. And so because of that, the service industry is not as robust. The quality of service that you get in San Antonio is just simply not as high as what you would get in Houston and Dallas. And so that's something that we've been struggling with since we moved here is there's this kind of very low baseline for service. And because people who live here are from here, you get used to accepting this very low baseline of service. So when you move here from somewhere else and you're asking questions and you're requiring things of your service providers that are normal to you, they are actually very foreign to a lot of the business owners here. And so you end up kind of looking like that person, that client that's difficult to work with, that client that's super stuck up, that client that's extra, right? So we have been having a bit of a hard time. Mm, mm. The standard of service here is not as high as it is where we are originally from. I'm originally from Houston, and San Antonio is a military town. And with it being a military town, it's very old school. You still have a lot of people who give handwritten invoices for services. You still have a lot of businesses here who only take cash for services. They don't even have the infrastructure to take credit cards, those kinds of things. And so coming from that kind of coming from Houston and then moving to San Antonio, it's a huge culture shock. And so we had a lot of issues with service providers, a lot of issues with service providers, just because the bar of service is so low and they're used to being able to get away with low bar of service. And one of the things that business owners need to understand, depending on where you are, especially when you want to work with higher end clients, is it doesn't matter how long you have been in business, because sometimes the only reason why you've been in business so long is not because the business is top tier. It's because that's what was available. And so you find that a lot in San Antonio, where you've got business owners who have been in business for 7 years, 10 years, 12 years. So we had been having issues with service providers like lawn care people, housekeepers, just people that you would hire to do services around the home. And one of the things that I would hear a lot is whenever I would say, well, that's really not up to par with how I want to be served, or, that's below my standard. One of the things that I would hear a lot is, I've been in business for 15 years. I've been in business for 10 years. Nobody's ever said that to me. Rah, 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 rah. And, I actually told this one guy who owned a cleaning company one time, I told him straight up, I said, listen, I said, the only reason why you've been in business for 10 years is not because you're good. It's because you're available, because you're not really that good. Now, do I normally talk to service providers like that? I do not. But at the point at which he started kind of getting, disrespectful, then, I allowed him to hear what was really on my mind. So going back to the businesses being old school, we finally find a housekeeper or a cleaning company that we enjoy, right? And when I say that we enjoy it, what I mean is that I appreciate the way that they do business. In other words, this housekeeping company didn't write me a handwritten invoice. They didn't write me a handwritten invoice. They actually have the ability to pay online. So some of those more systematic and process-like things that make it easier for me to do business, I appreciated that. Now, the first cleaning crew that they sent, the manager came with them. It was about 6 of them, and they did a really, really amazing job. The second crew that they sent, the lady who was managing the team was on her phone and just all kinds of different things. I didn't like her very well. The third crew they sent was managed by this young man. And what I like about him is that he is very much about his business. He comes in the house, he gets the instructions, he translates the instructions to the housekeeping team that he's working for. He gets in, he does his job, he heads out, and there's no additional talking, there's no extra, there's not a whole lot of mess. He comes in and he takes care of his business. And so I really appreciated him. So I called to set up our service for a couple of weeks ago. And I told the lady, I said, the young man who was here last time with his team, that's who I want. And her response to me was, really? I said, yeah. She said, well, he's not personable. I said, well, he was personable to me. I don't really know. I mean, I don't have a vantage point to assess his, personability, but he was personable to me. So I don't really have a problem with him. So she proceeds to tell me about how basically they had a contest amongst all of the housekeepers where you had to get a certain number of testimonials. And if you got a certain number of testimonials, the prize was, it was like this vacuum cleaner. It was like a $500 vacuum cleaner. Okay. Now there's going to be a part 2 of this story on Whiskey Wednesday next Wednesday, because I want to talk about the difference between incentivizing the people who work for you and penalizing the people who work for you, because that's something else that came up in the scenario as well, but we'll keep it with the testimonials. So she's telling me all of this that's going on with him, and I'm like, well, he was really professional with me. I love the way that he works. And so I'm literally giving her a testimonial over the phone, and I said, well, can you just take my testimonial, because I want him to get credit. I want him to win the vacuum cleaner. Like, he does a really good job. I want him to win a vacuum cleaner. What do I need to do? And she says, well, if you go to the website and give us a testimonial and get everybody in the house to give us a testimonial, then he'll have enough testimonials and then he can win the vacuum cleaner. So I say, okay, cool, no problem. So here's where the problem comes in. I go to the website, okay, and I find the area where you can give reviews on their actual website. And I am very adamant about my privacy. Very adamant about my privacy. We are a multi-generational household. So, we still have children who live with us. My husband works for the government. He has a contract with the government. I have a position with the government as well. And so, that and amongst other things, right? Like, we've got 2 children who are both artists, and who are becoming more and more well-known. So my privacy is very important to me. So when I went to fill out the testimonial, I filled it out under an alias. And when I filled out my testimonial, I called her. I called the company back and I said, hey, just so that you know, I did fill out a review on your website. I did it under an alias, but if you read it, you'll know that it's me because it's the exact same things that I told you. And so she goes and she click. She goes, I don't see it. I said, well, I filled it out on your website. She goes, oh, no. Those don't count. What we're looking for are the Google reviews. And I said, oh, yeah, I don't do Google reviews. Okay, here's where we start having a problem. I said, I don't do Google reviews because in order for me to do a Google review, it has to be attached to my email address. If my email address has my name on it, for me, it's too close of proximity, right? So if you see Mrs. Atandra Jones reviews this particular cleaning company, if you wanted to, theoretically, if some weirdo wanted to, right, you could look up that cleaning company. All you have to do is look up the region where they live, okay? Or the region where they work, which for this particular cleaning company is not very large because we're kind of on a more affluent side of the town. For me, it's too close. You could get too close to me for my comfort, not knowing me. And so I told her that. I said, well, yeah, I don't do Google reviews for that reason. And she goes, well, can your husband do one? Ma'am, we don't do Google reviews because we value our privacy. Well, what about your children? Ma'am, I literally just told you we don't do Google reviews because we value our privacy. Well, do you have any family members? Okay, well, ma'am, why is the testimonial that I'm willing to give you, that I've already given you on your website, not enough? Oh, well, because, Google, and she starts breaking down, and I get it. Google SEO, blah, 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 blah. And so she's talking, and I'm like, you know what? We're going to go ahead and end this conversation, because what's about to happen is you're about to lose my business. You're about to lose my business. And she couldn't understand it, and I didn't want to have the conversation. But it made me realize how many small business owners don't really know the intricacies of working with high-end clients, of working with clients who are more premium type of clients. And it's interesting because everybody wants to serve premium clients. Everybody wants to have high-end clients. But there are certain nuances that you have to understand when you're working with high-end clients. And I have seen business owners lose clients because they are insistent on getting testimonials in very specific ways that do not work for that type of clientele. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about tonight. Because one of the things that you have to understand, when the more affluent your clients become, the more adamant about their privacy they're going to be. And it's interesting because when I was a trainer, I actually used to get upset that certain clients didn't want to give me testimonials. And it's interesting because it's not until you start making that kind of money and you get into that position that you start to understand. So I want to give you a few reasons why some of your higher end clients may not want to give you a testimonial. And I want to talk about that because I've had business clients that I've worked with who have been offended because their clients did not want to give them testimonials. So one reason why they might not want to give you a testimonial, the same reason why I did not want to do a Google review for the cleaning company, is because they value their privacy. Their privacy is very important to them. And especially when you are serving people in a capacity that requires that you are close to them, that requires that you have access to certain information about them. The unfortunate thing is that people can be vindictive. People can be vindictive. I have seen business owners get upset at their clients and reveal very personal information about their clients, about their personal lives, about their businesses, very, very damning information for people who don't really understand the context of what that particular person was going through. And so you have to understand that when you're working with them in close proximity, whether you're working with them in personal, so if you are a hairstylist or a nail artist who does house calls, if you're a housekeeper, if you do their lawn care, if you clean their home, if you're a personal assistant, if you're their executive assistant, you have access to things that people who are not as close to them do not have access to. And so you have to understand that even working with you is a risk. It's funny because people wonder why a lot of times affluent business owners may have the hardest time delegating things. Sometimes it's an issue of control, right? It's like, it's mine. Nobody can do it better than me. I am the best. Rah, rah, rah. You're not going to come in my business and mess it up. No, 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 no. Sometimes it's that, right? And that's a mindset thing, right? That's a whole mindset thing, because that's a situation where somebody is just not willing to accept support because they feel like nobody can do it better than me. That's one side of it. But the other side of it is that there is a risk associated with that. There's a risk with hiring you or with hiring your company to come in and do whatever it is that you do for those people. And so, because of that risk, they may want you to do things like sign an NDA. I will tell you, anybody who works anywhere around me for any reason, under any circumstances, will always sign an NDA. Point blank, period, end of story. If you don't like it, you will not be working with me. Period. If you mow my lawn, you're signing an NDA. If you clean our home, you're signing an NDA. If we have you as the person who is our handyman or our handyman to come in and fix things, you're signing an NDA. Why? Because I am giving you access to the inside of our home. I'm giving you access to our home. And if I'm going to give you that access, then I need to have some type of protection so that in the event that you decide to get crazy, in the event that you decide to do something stupid, in the event that you decide to, do something vindictive, then I have to have some form of recourse to protect myself and my family. So that might be the first reason why they don't want to give you a testimonial. The second reason why they may not want to give you a testimonial, especially if you serve businesses, they may not want to give you a testimonial because the way that you run your business is a sellable asset. I'm going to say that again, because some of you may have never heard that before. The way that you run your business is a sellable asset. Oftentimes, when we look at what a business is valued at, we look at what a business is worth, we think about how many clients do you have? How big is your email list? How big is your audience? Let's look at your profit and loss statement. And all of those things are really important when you're looking at the value of a company. But one of the things that people often miss is that the way that you run your business, the way that you run your operation, the way that you are able to do what it is that your business does, the way that your business is able to deliver what it's able to deliver is a sellable asset. It's a sellable asset. And so oftentimes, if you serve business owners, they don't want their competition knowing how they do what they do. If you are a branding agency, okay, let's say you are a branding agency and you specialize in working with landscaping companies, okay? Well, if I own a landscaping company and we've got this new branding initiative, and that branding initiative has now put us ahead of our competition, why would I want any other landscaping agency to know, or any other landscaping company to know the agency that I hired for my branding? Why would I want you to know that? Why would I want to share that information? Right? If you build funnels, okay, and you have been able to build the type of funnels that have produced millions of dollars for a specific business that's in a specific niche, and that business has competitors, why would they want other people to know who built their funnels? If you are a social media strategist and you work with educators who are trying to get government contracts, and you're strategizing their social media, right? And it's working. Why would I want someone who competes with me to know who does my social media strategy? Right? Because here's the thing. If I hire your business, right? You are an independent contractor. As of September 2024, all non-competes in the United States must be discontinued from all contracts. So what does that mean? What that means is if I am in a specific niche and I hire a company to do a specific service for my business, I cannot tell you that you can't do business with anybody else in that niche ever again because you've done business with me. So sometimes the reason why they don't want to give you a testimonial is simply because them working with you is actually a trade secret. If you have done any work for them and it has actually worked, it is actually, hey, beautiful. Hey, mama. How you doing, princess? Hi. And it has actually worked. That has now become a trade secret. So they're not going to want to share that with other people. And you asking them for a testimonial that you can put on their website where you're going to put their name and their business name and potentially a link to their website, it becomes a risk for that company. Right? So those are the two reasons. Those are two of the reasons. If it's not one of those two reasons, if it's not privacy, and if it's not because they don't want to share trade secrets, right? Then more than likely it's because you have made it too hard for them to give you a testimonial. I want you to be honest. You don't have to answer this question. I just want you to answer this question to yourself. You don't have to type anything in the comments or anything like that. But think about it. I want you to think about it. If you paid 5 figures for a large contract, and I believe everybody in here is a business owner, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I think we're all business owners in here. If you paid someone, let's say $30,000, $40,000 for a project in your business, and this has been a 6-month project, right? You have had to answer emails or maybe have your assistant answer emails. You've had to come in and you've had to check the milestones, all of these different things, all of the work that goes into having this project completed. And then somebody runs up to you and is like, can you give me a testimonial now? Like, okay. So you want them to give you a testimonial. But you have to understand, okay, especially if you serve businesses, think about your brain capacity as a business owner. Okay. When you get done with a major project, you don't really want to use the rest of the brain space that you have to critically think about those kinds of things. Right? It's one of the reasons why people hire trainers. You hire a trainer because you don't want to have to think about what you need to do when you go to the gym. It's the same thing. So if you say, give me a testimonial, understand that while they may have paid you, the reason why they paid you and your company to complete this project so that they wouldn't have to do it is because there's 999 other things over here that they did have to do. So just because they're not actively working with you on the project that they paid you for, it doesn't mean that their brain capacity isn't being used somewhere else. And so what you have to understand is that people like to please people. So when you just say, give me a testimonial, now this person is saying, okay, what do I say? What if I'm not really good with words? You have a lot of business owners who are not very good with words. They're not. They're just not. It's not a pejorative. They're just not good with words. What do I say? Am I going to say it right? Is it going to be right? Oh my God, I got to sit down and do this. And then by the time they go through all of the steps that they have to go through in order to give you a testimonial, in your mind, it's easy. All you got to do is just pull out your camera and just say what, just tell me that I'm awesome. Just tell us that our business is awesome. Da, 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 da. You don't know how that person is feeling that day. You don't know how they're feeling about how they look. You don't know how they feel about how they sound. You don't know how they feel about being on camera. You don't know how they feel about words. You don't know how they feel about writing. You don't understand them as a human outside of the context for which they hired you. So then what ends up happening is when you ask for that testimonial and you're just like, give me a testimonial, what you do is you give them extra work to do. You literally just gave your client homework. And so if you're too insistent on getting the testimonial, what will happen is they probably will not hire you again, or they won't refer you again, because they don't want anybody that. So, okay, everybody talks about networking, but nobody really breaks down the importance of maintaining your network and what has to be done to maintain that network. The reason why you have a network of people, whoever it is that you're connected to, is because there's an element of trust between you. Okay? I trust that you're not going to have me a part of some business deal that's going to have the FBI knocking on my door. I trust that if I give you my personal cell phone number, you're not just going to go out and give my personal cell phone number to other people, right? Because you feel like you can make some kind of a commission, or because you think that it's cool to know me. And, I trust that if I invite you to my home, you're not going to go on social media, or you're not going to be on social media in my bathroom with the door closed saying, oh my God, I'm at so-and-so's house, da, 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 da. Like there's an element of trust that's associated with building and maintaining a network. So you have to understand that if you have attempted to pressure them to give you a testimonial, what's going to happen is they're going to say, okay, well, if you have done this to me, if I refer you to somebody else, or if I do a handshake between you and somebody else, then what's going to end up happening is that person is going to have the same experience with you that I'm having right now. And that's going to affect my network. And because there is so much focus on, get testimonials, because you got to have social proof. You got to have social proof. I have purchased services, paid for services from people who have pages of social proof, and the service is absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. And I have purchased products and services from people who don't have a lot of testimonials, or maybe who don't have any, and the service has been amazing. So I'm not saying that you should not request testimonials. I'm just trying to get you to understand what it is that you are asking of the human being who's on the other side of you. Because you have to understand, this is a business owner who has a business, and the business is its own entity. But this is not just the owner of such and such and such media company. This is an actual human being on the other side of you. And so you have to understand what this other human being is contending with outside of the contract that they have paid you for. So then what do? There's a few things that you can do. Okay? One of the things, and I will say this especially for those of you who want to work with premium clients, higher end clients, those kinds of things. Always offer anonymity. Always offer them the opportunity to not have their name, their business name, their website, or any identifying details about their person or their business to be in connection with the testimonial that they give you. And this can be kind of difficult, especially when you have your dream client, you have your dream person that you want to work with, and you're like, I finally got my dream client. And you want everybody in the world to know that you worked with this person, because if I could work with so and so, then that means that I can work with anybody. But what I want you to think about is the long-term sustainability of your business. I have seen people ruin long-term opportunities with very affluent people because they are so excited. You know what? Let me just be real. Some of them are excited, but some of them are just clout chasing. That's what they want, is the clout. They want the clout of being able to say, I worked with this company, I worked with this corporation, I worked with this particular person, without considering what that other person or that other business is contending with, because you just want your testimonial. So the first thing to do is to always offer the option of anonymity. So one of the things that I say all the time is that, we have worked with companies who you will never know worked with us, because we sign an NDA with all of our clients, because we respect their privacy. So there are businesses that we have worked with that you will never know about. You'll never know about them. And I understand how challenging that can be as a service-based business, because if you run a goods-based business, so you sell t-shirts, candles, body butters, workout equipment, manufacturing equipment, whatever. When you sell something that's tangible, even though they don't have it in their hands at the time, they can't fully experience it. They can see it. And so they get an idea of what it would be like. I may not be able to smell the body butter, but I can look at how it's packaged, and I can look, if you tell me that this body butter smells like pineapple upside down cake, right? I can't really smell it, but I can look at the packaging, and I can look at how the butter is whipped in there, and I can sort of figure out in my mind how it would feel to experience that. So it's easy for me to buy it. But when you are a service-based business, oftentimes the benefit, especially if you are a service-based business who serves other businesses, oftentimes the benefit of what you do isn't realized for 3 months, 6 months, sometimes a year after they have worked with you, right? So if I use our business, for example, right? My main thing that I love about business is operations, and it's streamlining operations, it's processes, it's systems, it's document libraries, it's all of those things. It's workflows and really working with the operations. I call myself the invisible COO, right? Like I can come in and I can take just about any service-based business, and I can get those operations to the point to where you can scale your business to your next income level. Here's the thing though, with those kinds of services, you don't really realize the benefits of what we have done for 6 months, sometimes even a year, because those kinds of things take time. So I understand that I understand how challenging that can be, because it's like, I'm making these claims, our business is making these claims that we can do these things for your business, but then we sign an NDA that says that we won't tell anybody that we worked with your business, right? So then it's like, okay, well, dang, well, how am I supposed to get my social proof? So here's what you can do. Remember, it starts off with offering them the opportunity for anonymity, okay? If you are a service-based business, you should always have an offboarding call with your clients. If you don't have some type of offboarding call, and not just the workflow, okay? I do this for real, for real. So I hear people talk a lot about the workflow. Download my offboarding your clients workflow template made by AI. And it's not Chat GPT, it's another AI. And I'm just like, you know what the fuck ever, right? The automation does not take away your responsibility to take care of the human aspect of doing business with other humans. So if you are in a service-based business, you should always have an offboarding call. And on that call, you're checking in with them and you want to ask a few questions. What are your thoughts on our service? Or what are your thoughts on the way that we have served you? How well do you believe we have served you? Did you get the results that you were expecting? If I were to ask you what the biggest benefit you have received or your business has received from working with us, what would you say that it was? Right? And so you're going to ask those questions and you're going to receive those answers. And then what you're going to say is, wow, that would make, first of all, thank you so much for giving us this information. Let them know how important it is to you that you do a good job. And the only way you can sincerely do that is if it really is important to you that you do a good job. Because there are some service-based business owners who, as long as they get the money and they get paid, they don't really care how you feel about what they did. But if you genuinely have a desire to serve people and to see them do well in whatever area you are serving them in, then you want the answers to those questions. And then what you're going to do is you're going to ask them, do you mind if I put this on, do you mind if I put this on our website? And I'll tell you right now, I won't use your name. I won't use your business. I won't use anything that identifies you as a person or as a business. And I'll even switch up a few of the words, but I will keep the integrity of the context. But I just think this is great for us to know. It's great for our team to know. And I think it would give us an opportunity to show other people that we can do for them what we have done for you. I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, they will tell you yes. You didn't give them any extra homework. You didn't give them anything extra that they had to think about. And you offered them the opportunity to protect their privacy and to protect what is now a trade secret for them, for those of you who serve other business owners. Okay? Now, if you are one of those business owners and you're like, listen, I don't have time for a call, blah, 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 then here's something else that you can do. What you want to do is you want to create, I almost don't even want to say this because I have a thing about people purposefully removing the human aspect out of business. The human aspect out of doing business with other human beings. But I'll go ahead and give it to you. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and make sure that you create yourself an automated workflow. And then as a part of that automated workflow, what you're going to do is you're going to send them an email that offers them the anonymity. And instead of simply asking them for a testimonial, you'll send them a short form that doesn't require that they use their name or their email address with some questions that they can answer. Okay? That's one way. I'm about to give you another way. Now, in order to implement what I'm getting ready to tell you now, you have to either be really sophisticated at decision trees in your email marketing, or you have to have somebody on your team who's sophisticated in that way. What you do is you send an email thanking them, it's been a pleasure to serve you. We thank you so much for trusting us with your business or whatever the situation is. And then what you're going to do is you're going to give them 4 options Please click any of the options to rate our service. And each of those options, so in the email, you want to create 4 different buttons. Okay. Those buttons are going to have 1 to 2 sentences that you would consider a decent testimonial. And then what's going to happen is when they click, whichever one they click, the thank you email is going to be based on the one that they click. So if they click option number 1, it will immediately send them a thank you email for option number 1. Option number 2, it should immediately. So you have to know how to get into your email marketing tool and do the decision trees so that it puts them into a different workflow based on the button that they click. Okay. What this does for you is it allows you to get very short snippet testimonials. One of those sentences could be, I was served very well, and this met my expectations. So now you've got data that says this person, and you give them a completely different name, John M. John M says they met my expectations and they did a really great job. And you can post that on your website. So those are 3 different ways that you can get testimonials from your clients that doesn't require that you eat up all of their time. It doesn't require that you beg them for a testimonial, and it doesn't require that you invade their privacy. Whichever one you choose, what I want you to remember is that there is always a human being on the other side of that conversation. And while getting testimonials in your business is important, understand that the long-term relationship, because let me ask you this, and this is a question that you can answer yourself. You don't have to put anything in the chat or anything like that. Do you want a page full of testimonials, or do you want long-term sustainable relationships with clients who pay you over and over and over and over and over again? Which one do you want? Do you want the clout on your website, or do you want the money in your bank account? Do you want a testimonial page that looks like everybody else's testimonial page so you can prove to some random person who probably was never going to buy from you anyway that you can do what you can do? Or do you want the money in your bank account to show that you can do what you can do? And if your answer is the latter, understand that that comes from developing long-term sustainable relationships that are built on good service, trust, and respect for the people that you serve. Okay? So that's it. That's all I got. If anybody has any questions, feel free to, if you're here on Chatter, if you have any questions, feel free to unmic, and I can take some questions for a few.
Sandra, what was, you said you do the offboarding. Tell me what the wording was again that you said about sharing it and not using their name and everything like that.
Yeah. So one of the things that you can say is, I want to assure you that if I use this as a testimonial, I can do this without using your name, without using your business name, without using anything that connects you personally or your company personally. And then just tell them, I understand privacy is important. And I also don't want your competitors getting any of your trade secrets. I'm now a trade secret for you. So I get it. So would you mind if I use these words? I'll kind of edit them a little bit, but I'll make sure to maintain the integrity of what you said. Is that okay with you? And most of the time they will say it. And to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever had anybody tell me no to that. No, I don't think no. Yeah, I've never had anybody say no to that. So. What'd you say?
That's a really great way to do it. Like I believe that you've never had anybody say no to that, because there's no, you hit all the objections before you even ask. So that's great.
Yep. Does anybody else have any questions? Are we good? So let me do this really quickly. So try to see how to. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so I was going to try to see how I can pin a link here for you all to get access to the replay, but I don't see it anymore.
I think it's next to the mute button on the bottom.
On the bottom.
Or where do you see mute all? It's supposed to be next to mute all.
Next to mute all. Okay, so let me. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Yep.
Okay, so what we did tonight is we actually opened up a portal where we're going to be uploading all of the replays to Whiskey Wednesdays so that if you want to go back and take notes, you'll be able to listen to them. In our portal, you will also get access to our Discord. So every time we do a Whiskey Wednesday, every time we do a coaching video of any kind, we send step-by-step notes out into the Discord as well. So you'll be able to do that. So if that's something that you guys want to avail yourself of, that link is up there and it's totally free. So that's up there for you guys. Does anybody else have any other questions, comments, anything that you would like to add?
Just say thank you.
You are absolutely welcome. You are absolutely welcome. Oh, you're welcome, Danielle. You are absolutely welcome. Okay, y'all. Well, if that is it, I am done for the night. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. We will do Whiskey Wednesdays. We do them 3 Wednesdays out of every single month. And again, we will upload all of the Whiskey Wednesdays to that portal. And then the notes for each of the classes will go into the Discord. So I will check y'all out on the next Whiskey Wednesday. And yeah, thank y'all so much. Bye.
Thank you.